Hey everybody, Dr. Jason J. Womack, and when I think about my role on the planet, I go back, those of you who have ever had a mentor, I had a mentor of mine sit down and he said, if you teach, you'll always have a job. And as a high school senior, I only knew teaching as education, and I thought my dad was telling me to be a teacher, which I did after college for 4 years. But what I've realized is that everybody that I work with now is after something. Community or connection, I use that word quite a bit. It happens to be one of our 4 values in the Space Force as a Guardian. And I've been studying for about a decade now what brings people together. I've gotten to practice this as an athlete. I raced competitive triathlon in California for about a decade. I have studied this as an author. I've written a few books. I've studied this as an airman, civilian airman, out at Air University. My wife, Jody, and I moved from Santa Barbara, California, to Montgomery, Alabama. Pause for dramatic effect. And on January 23rd of 2019, I took the oath as a civilian to the Constitution. I will tell you that that night I went home to Amazon.com and I ordered a copy of the Constitution, which I carry to this day in my breast pocket. Connection to me has a lot of facets to it. And then most recently, on July 1st of this year, I had to deepen my connection to everything. My mom suffered a massive brain hemorrhage, and we are in day 80-something. I'm losing count, which is a good, bad thing. And I'm realizing just how important it is that our airmen and guardians feel connected. And that's what I hope to talk about today.
So, Dr. Womack, let me come to you. Coming from, I'll say, a Space Force perspective, where our Space Force leaders lead not only guardians but also airmen and their families. Is there a different approach that a Space Force leader would take in building community, or are there parallels that you could highlight as Space Force leaders lead the entire community and families?
So I immediately go from community to connection or connectedness, of course, the third of our Space Force values. And then I go to the dictionary. So let me just start kind of with first principles thinking. And I think, what does connection mean? What does that word mean, or the verb to connect? And it means to link or to relate. And so my first salvo will be, do my commanders, my command teams that I get to serve, do they work to link or relate? Now just that, in light of the comment on generations, that's different. So when I think about the differences of the different kinds of things that people are connected to, Chaplain Sir, as you were talking in the introductions about how things were and then how things are, I also go to how things will be. So for example, if we talk about how things were and the connections that our airmen during the 50s and 60s and 70s had, you mentioned golf courses, you mentioned BX, commissary. To me, those are all the things that our airmen and now guardians are connected to. So now I start to think to myself, it's like, okay, so what does the word connection mean to the average airman or guardian, civilian, family member, volunteer, or community member? What does that mean to them? What does linking or relating? And so here's what I've done. This year, I've asked everybody that I work with during our leader development programs, I give them a prompt. And I'll invite all of you watching this right now to fill in the blank with me. But here's the prompt. If our airmen and guardians were more connected to blank, they would be stronger, more ready, and more resilient as a warfighter. Today's the 23rd of September. I've collected just over 700 responses to that prompt. And what I'm finding is that our airmen and guardians of all levels, they're not just asking for one of the 7 connections to one another. They're asking for 6 other things that their leaders, Air Force and Space Force, help them connect to. And so if I were to say, is there a difference? I'm not sure. I'm a human domain guy. I'm a human guy. I think we are all looking for a place where we walk into and we're recognized. I think we're looking for a place where we can contribute. And I think we're all looking for a place where we can be who we are. The airmen and guardians that I'm working with are telling me that they are starving for connection. They fear the act of connecting. And I'll ask everybody in the room to let yourselves think of your version of that. We want to have been connected with one another, with our communities, with our services. The act of going to that website and clicking, of picking up that phone and dialing, or of looking across the room at someone that we don't know yet. It's that act of connecting that I want to get after.
Would you say that is transformational? Would you say that's transactional? Go in a little bit more about that connecting with the human being.
Let's flank. So the airmen and guardians that I've asked, they've given me 7 different things. I won't go through all 7. That's way too much for a panel. But let me flank the connection to one another. There is a longing for a connection to the mission. Like when I ask people, when you filled in the blank, right? If our members were more connected to blank, they would be stronger, more ready, more resilient as warfighters. People are telling me, if I were more connected to the mission, I go, wow, how cool. What an opportunity for a leader. Now, whether the transaction is, hey, I'm going to coin you, and then a week later, I'm going to email you the heritage of the coin.
Right.
I'll do one more really quickly, and that's connection to current context.
Right.
And if there's one that keeps me up at night, it's a tie between 4 and 7. If there's one connection that keeps me up at night, it's the connection to current context. It's that within 18 months, this is my Nostradamus, within 18 months, the average 8th grader will not be able to differentiate between something they see as real or fake. And so understanding that what is coming into them is their current reality. And if I have a Delta commander and squadron commanders, and then I have civilian leaders, and then I have families, and then I have community members, they all have a connection to context that can, quite frankly, be very unique to one another.
Absolutely.
I want
Very
to
good.
bridge the trust comment to that one, which is, I appreciated that trust can take a long time to build. It can be broken pretty quickly. At Space Systems Command, we have 5 bases. We have more than 30 GSUs around the world. And I'm looking at 3 factors of the -1, if you will, of the human domain. And very simply, I call it notice, engage, return. And so what can I do from my seat when I'm looking out across? Where can I notice? Where can I pay attention? Engage my situational awareness. That engagement, it sounds like sharing something with an airman or guardian, or listening to what someone is saying. Listening without waiting for them to stop talking so I can start, which some of my leaders have a tough time with. As Ted Lasso said, be curious, maybe just a little less judgmental. He said not judgmental. But then the third one, I think, is where leaders make their money. I think where leaders can really differentiate ourselves is in the return. I could ask an audience like this: whoever out of the blue got an email, a text, or a phone call from someone just to let them know that they were thinking of you and hope that you're doing well? That little moment that can really be at the right place at the right time. And so what do we do? What I would say if someone were leaving this room, on your way out, before you hit the traffic or your hotel room, just text somebody, say you were noticing them. See if you can engage in some kind of a conversation, and then find a way to return to that in some kind of a capacity. I think that's how we build trust with one another. Chief McCool, my first AFA was 2019, the year that Jody and I moved from civilian life to Air Force civilian life. I did 25 years in what y'all call industry, and then I fled to a civil servant. The colonels and the general officers and the chiefs that I work around that do it the other way, let's talk. Our airmen and guardians are starving for connection, and they fear connecting. What I know is that when I am hungry, the hungrier I am, I will reach for things that might not be the best for me. So if we can get out in front of this, if we can feed our airmen and guardians in the way they want to be fed, it is not simply putting people in the same room at the same time, hoping that they connect on their own. Leaders, we have a chance, we have the opportunity, and I think we have the responsibility to influence that for good.
Thank you. God bless you and have a wonderful day.